everywhere, which is sort of good compared to the old days. So yeah, look, there's been a lot going on with video. And of course, if you've got any video questions, now whether that's video on a smartphone, whether that's video in any other form, pop your questions in the chat. And speaking of chat, there's still this system I'm using called Restream. It seems that I can get my LinkedIn and YouTube to show up the chats, but Facebook I can't. So I've actually got my laptop open down here, and I'm going to see if I can monitor any questions directly live from a different monitor. There, I can see that now. So if any come in there. Now, so if you do have any questions, pop them in. I'm happy if I can answer them now, I'll answer them. If I can't, what I'll do is I'll take them away and I'll think about them and come back to you and give you a better, more in-depth answer, which is what I'm going to do right now. So one of the things also, just afterwards, I'm just going to give you a little review on the Restream mobile app. I've been using it a lot in the last 2 weeks, and it's quite interesting and I'm quite impressed. So I'll just give you a few insights into that. But at the moment, let's get to the questions. And this is a question that came in last week during the live stream from Heather Smith, FCA, FCCA, FICB. Do you know, I used to work with a guy in the media. He was a journalist. He was more of an academic than a journalist, but he had all these degrees after his name. So of course we called him Compass. That was his nickname because he had more degrees than a compass. It's funny where nicknames come from. But what Heather asked for, do you have any suggestions for converting Zoom into high quality video? And look, this is, yeah, we're all using Zoom, and if we record that, can we get better quality out of it? Well, Heather, I got to tell you, it's not that easy. So I'll go through it. I'm going to give you some alternative ways that you can do this. But to start, I just want to explain what is going on when Zoom is recording your video. So what happens is that there's video and there's audio, and sometimes there's screen share. And so what Zoom does is it compresses or lessens the quality of your video and your screen share, and does this continual dance as you're recording. And based upon the bandwidth, or so the size of the pipe, your video pipe or data pipe that you've got going out of your house, up to the internet and coming back, and it does this dance, and it sort of like makes the video small, makes it a bit bigger, makes it small, and then depending on how long you record for, so if you did a 1 minute recording compared to a 30-minute recording, it takes that into account too. So at the end, even though your picture might appear really good quality on the screen, the recording they give you might be completely different. It might be a small recording. So when you see that 360, that's 360p. It's essentially old standard definition, and it's not very good quality. And more than likely, with the way that we're all on the internet and clogging up the bandwidth up there, trying to think of the word there, you're going to get that. So with that in mind, are there alternatives? So yes, there are. Number one, if you're going to do it on Zoom, make sure that you get the best opportunity to get the best quality recording. So the first thing you can do is make sure that your picture and your image are decent. So use a decent camera or a decent webcam, use some lighting, get a little bit of contrast going in there. These all help with the quality in the end. And also your guest, if maybe you're interviewing guests on there, get them to up their game a bit. It's going to help you in the long run. If you're doing screen share, then make sure the font in the text is not too small, because if the quality is degraded, you're not going to be able to read that. So what you want to do is be able to make everything sort of, larger and bigger. Now, there are some settings you can use in Zoom to help give you a better advantage. So how do you find your settings in Zoom? If you're in your Zoom panel like there, you look for the little cog wheel. Alternatively, always up, now this is on Mac, but it's pretty much the same on PC. Go up into your bar at the top of your screen, top of your browser, click on the Zoom and tap preferences. And when you tap that or use the cog, it takes you into the preference panel. The first thing you want to go down is to the recording tab. And there's two things you need to check there. One is make sure you've got selected that it records a separate audio and video file. And then the next thing you want to check is it's optimized for a third-party editor. So that is telling that, you remember I said it was that dance? It's telling that algorithm dance that you actually want to use the video at the end. So it may work in your favor and they give you a better quality file. The next thing you need to do is then go up to the video tab. There's always some clown on there. Go up to the video tab and make sure you've got the enable HD, so enable high definition on. So they're the three things that you can do within Zoom. Now let's say that that's not working for you. What are some other alternatives that you can get a better quality recording? You can actually record your screen yourself. Now, you can use a paid editing screen recording app like I use. Now, this is Camtasia. If you listen to what I do, you'll know that I bang on about Camtasia being a brilliant mid-level recorder. Now, you might not want to pay the money for that. So I'm going to give you some free alternatives. Something to think about though when you're going to do this. Before. So my number one recommendation to do this is to use Loom. And Loom is a brilliant way to record short messages or screen shares and send them out to someone. But I found Loom, it's got these other features in there. One is you can download the video and the other is you can trim the video. And it's just so user-friendly. And so there are other apps like Vidyard and BombBomb and Bonjoro, and they're all very good and Drift, and I like them. But my preference is Loom, and I use the free version. And I would make, I don't know, half a dozen videos with this a day and send them to people. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. Hey, Jane Anderson. Oh, you're so bloody clever, she said. Thanks very much. That's very sweet. But whether you use any of these screen recording softwares, there's something that for all of us now, if we are using virtual, so we're using either Zoom or different presentations, invest $100 in a second-hand monitor. It doesn't have to be fancy, and plug that into your Mac or your PC. It's very straightforward. And it makes this whole process. So this is essentially what I'm looking at now is sort of what you're seeing there. And what it means is that you can set up your Zoom on one window and have all the other things that you need, like maybe documents, maybe a keynote, maybe your email, maybe all that on another screen, so you can keep operating and play your Zoom on full screen. So that's an extra tip there. So what you do when you're in Loom, now just go on and look for some tutorials how to use Loom. It's very straightforward, but there's a little click down and it's going to drop down. It's going to say, do you want to record you and your screen, or just your screen, or just you? Choose the one that says you want to record your screen. And then there's also an option, if you've got the second monitor that we were talking about, it asks you which monitor do you want to record. It's very intuitive. It's great. And then you go down lower and just double check that it's recording in the highest quality. Now, currently on the free version, that's 720p, but that's actually really quite good. I mean, I've done some tests on this. The quality size on that's standard HD is really quite good. So when you've recorded, okay, so you do a Zoom, you put that up and you hit that record and you just record using Loom, and it records your whole screen and your audio, anything that happens on there. Then what you do is that when you hit stop, and again, the tutorial will tell you how to do this. It's very easy. It takes you to your private Loom portal where it stores all your videos. Now, this is what it looks like. And in there, there's the video, the screen record that you've just done. Now, the first thing there is a download button. You just click it and it downloads your video. There's no payment required. There's no branding on it. It's just a clean 720p, so HD recording of what was on your screen. And then over to the right, you can trim it. So if you hit the record early and there was a bit of chit chat going on, you don't need to leave that in. You can just trim off that and trim off the end and make a nice, clean, trimmed product. So that's one thing that you can do using Loom. Another thing that you can do, and a lot of people overlook this, is that you can record the screen of your smartphone. Regardless of the smartphone, I'm going to give you iPhone instructions here, but this same process, if you're on Samsung or Huawei or any of the others, just go and do it. So everything is online. There's nothing that you can't type in and find directions for now. So, but one of the things that you really want to do is you want to make sure you're always plugged in. You should buy a couple of extra mains to Lightning or whatever your phone is, converters, and have them, one next to your bed, one next to your desk. Buy extra. It's so valuable to keep your phone on mains as much as possible and keep the power topped up. Why? Because it's a habit. It's a good video habit, and it will just save you one time when you need saving most of all. So here's how you record a iPhone screen. Now this is built in to all newer models, and even if I think it's the operating system. So even if you've got an older model, actually it is, I know it is, if you've got the latest operating system so if you keep your phone updated, this will work. But you go into your settings and you look for Control Center. Tap on Control Center and then tap on Customize Controls. Then there's a whole list of things that you can have, and you want to select and make sure there's one called Screen Recording. And all you do is just tap on it down the bottom on the ad, and you'll see it adds it up to the top layer. So you want to make sure that's selected. So now, again, a lot of people don't know this. If you're on a phone, you've got this thing called the Control Center, and you find it, depending on your model of smartphone, generally by swiping on the top right corner from the top of the screen down, or the bottom right corner up. And when you do swipe that, it brings up this control panel. Now, you may have seen this and you use it, where you can control your brightness, put it into flight mode and all that. But now you selected Screen Record, and that's that button there. And when you tap that button, anything then until you hit stop that you do on your screen is recorded. So what you can do is go in, tap that button, you'll see it turn red, and that means it's recording. Then just swipe that screen down and go into Zoom, bring it up, and you can record crystal clear, brilliant quality, full HD video of your Zoom meeting and the audio. And then when you're finished, you can swipe back down and hit stop. And then you've got a recording of your Zoom. Now, then you can potentially get better quality than what Zoom is going to give you. In fact, almost guarantee it's probably going to be a bit better quality. So you've taken some control there, which is fantastic. Hey, Amanda Mead, this is... let me just go back. Let me check if I finished on that. Oh, yeah. And then at the end, screen recording, and it just tells you that it's saved to your image file and your video file. Yep. So I'm finished on that. I got Amanda Mead. What's Amanda asking here? Let me just put this up here. How to stop vampire moments when you're on Zoom and have a virtual background with two people in the same room. How to stop a vampire moment when you're on Zoom. I don't know what vampire moments are. I'm assuming that somehow you disappear or that you're ghosted out. With two people in the same room. I'm not, you're probably going to have to explain that a little bit more. Hey, always remember I am male. Anyone who's asking me a question, right, you got to spell it out for me, okay? And then I get it. But Amanda, if I don't answer that now, connect with me and I'll come back for an answer with you next week. What I want to talk about next. Oh, yes, I want to talk about this. So this is what I'm using to switch this. So this system that I'm running this off my smartphone. I just want to spend just a brief moment explaining what switches are. So these things, this is one I'm using. It's called Elgato, just the brand name, Elgato Stream Deck. And oh, okay. So what have we got here? Any recommendations on mobile phone editing software? Okay, Jason, there we go, bring that up. Jason, yeah, sure. One that, so what I recommend if you want to pay a paid version is I recommend KineMaster, KineMaster, KineMaster. The reason I recommend that, it's very powerful, but it mimics what a desktop editing program looks like. So when you learn on your smartphone, when you then go, oh, I'm going to upgrade and also have a desktop, it's familiar to you because a lot of the other mobile editing apps essentially work around a system built for smartphones, and the whole operating process with pinching and swiping and that is all a little bit different. But having said that, one of my recommendations now is put out by the parent company that makes TikTok, and the app is called CapCut, CapCut. It's brilliant. It is my now favorite smartphone editing app. Everything is free. It is you just go on there and you can make really smart, fast, intuitive looking videos. So go and check that out. It's iOS and it's Android. And unlike a lot of the other apps, what they do is they give you certain features and dissolves and looks and all that. And they give you a couple, but then if you want the rest, you've got to pay. CapCut just give you everything. Now, I don't know if there's any privacy issues in there. That's out of my realm, but it's, yeah, I'm using it now and I'll do some tutorials on that. So hope that helps, Jason. Yeah, so now I want to talk about Restream. And what Restream does, just checking down here, what Restream, Elgato, I get myself together. So switches, just to make sure they're not some magical tool that some big piece of video and broadcast software that magically mixes your video together. All it does is it talks to your computer. And you know, when your computer, say you're using a Word document or you're using Keynote or PowerPoint, and you know how you can click on things, or you can use keystrokes to get there faster. So you can do commands on your keyboard. All these devices do is enable you to program in each of the keys some keystrokes to tell your programs on your computer what to do. But you can have it at the push of a button, which is a heck of a lot faster and a heck of a lot easier. So Whether it's this Elgato Stream Deck, whether you're using the Blackmagic ATM Mini, which is a very popular one as well, but they're essentially a box with some buttons, with a cord that goes into your computer, and all it's doing is giving you some remote keys that you can program these keys to do things you want on the computer. So in my case, I have programmed the keys to be able to switch between slides, like there you go, that's a slide switch there, or I can actually change scene, so I'll just come back to me talking here and wide, and then I can easily just switch back and I'll go back to this pre-programmed scene that I've made up here. But all that's doing is telling my computer to do the thing, make the commands of the programs that I've got open there. So understand that it's not something you have to magically know about. It's just you program it to do what you want to do. And then all those keys, you can go and put little icons in there. It's so easy. And this has, what's that, 15 keys? Oh, yeah, 15 keys. But it's got more than that because you can make everything just into folders. And so you can have one folder that opens up and or subfolders. So you could literally have hundreds and hundreds of commands and keys in there. So that said, I have used the version which now comes as an app on your smartphone. So it's iOS and it's Android. And the reason I wanted to test this and I like this is I am not cabled to my computer with a cable, which means I can get up and move. Now, just to I tested this a couple of nights ago with a new presentation that I've been doing. I spoke at APSC20s, there's the Asia Professional Speakers Conference based out of Singapore. And we did it virtually. And I did this presentation on people are getting all hung up now about how do you compete with people like Tony Robbins, and they're doing these virtual events now. You know, they tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment invested to do, really good events. And my argument to that is you can't compete. I don't know about you, but I can't compete that. So I was giving other alternative ways. And one of that is to learn the language of video, because it's free. And when you learn the language of video, you can start using these tools that have been available for nearly 100 years now for you to be able to really make a big experience on a small screen. And one of the things that I was using, and you have to do that because this is your competition. I mean, YouTube is out there. It's the master of video production quality. TikTok is amazing at now getting messages shorter. And TED, if you're out and speaking, is taking, an hour presentation down into 18 or 3, 5, and 9-minute presentations. So that's your competition. So you just can't get on there and warble. So talking about warbling and birds, I'm speaking now about a new language, and I call this language VertV. It's a mix of virtual, and that's what we're doing here, and also video. So going between virtual and then, in a sense, taking your audience on a magic carpet ride of been going into video and out to video. So I had this 25-minute presentation, and it had me presenting here, but then it would also go into video segments and come back. But the thing was, the audience couldn't tell when they were watching me live or when they were watching me on video. And one of the keys to that, just getting back to what I'm talking about here, is this little thing, because it's not attached to the computer. So what I could do would, I'd be talking and I'd say, listen, I'm going to talk about VertV, but look, rather than me talking about, come here, I want to show you. And I would literally get up and walk away with this. And when I'm out of screen, I would then switch to a video, because I can just play a video straight in with this system. So having it not connected has been brilliant. And I found it's flawless. It's absolutely flawless. So, big tick to that. I will be recommending this as much as possible. Well, with that, it seems like I've come to the end. Oh, Amanda said, yep, to that. So that's yep, ghosting. Amanda, I'm going to have a conversation with you. I'm going to find out exactly what the problem is, because I could just be warbling on here about something that is irrelevant. Oh, hang on. Yes, hang on. Let me use the technology here. So, yes, the people disappear during the Zoom session with a virtual background. It only seems to happen when there are two people on Zoom. Oh, I don't know. I actually haven't seen it. I'll tell you, if you can point me to an example, if you've got a screen recording, I would love that. I will tell you one thing, is that, you know, this green screen background idea that you can just select a virtual background and you don't even need a green screen. This is amazing, and it's only come about literally in the last year and a half or so because of the computational power that's increasing in our computers and in our phones. So if you have a green screen behind you and the green screen is well lit, which was, I got to tell you, for the last 40 years of my career in video and film, if you did green screen, the green screen had to be perfectly lit. I'm talking about perfectly, because if it wasn't, then you had all these artifacting and problems with cutting out the image. The fact that you don't even need one now is just amazing, but it is also struggling. So what I do see sometimes, and this might be it, is people who are presenting and they literally just disappear out of shot. Why that is happening is because the computing power can't keep up with it. So number one, upgrade your computer or upgrade the RAM and the processing power in your computer. The more that you have, the better the keying or the cutting out, and that's all keying really means. It means cutting out and putting something behind. The better the keying will be. Or secondly, do use a green screen. Remember, if you use a green screen, you don't have to buy some fancy green screen, although they are pretty cheap out there now. You can go down to Spotlight or whatever your drapery store and buy a set of green sheets. Why do we use green? Because green is the color least seen in the human body. So, you know, your skin's not green, because anywhere there's green, if you have green eyes, don't get a green screen. It's going to cut holes out of your eyes. It won't work there. So maybe that's that. But Amanda, if you can send me an example, we'll get to the bottom of this and get a bit. And there's a LinkedIn user come in. I missed the start of today. Was this recorded? Yes, everything's recorded. And if you go back into my feed, into my post feed on LinkedIn, you'll see these recordings there. Alrighty, well, terrific. Thank you very much. Here we are. We're coming up to the bottom of the hour, rambling on for half an hour. I hope that's been of use. Please send me your questions. Remember, you can just email them to me, message them to me any way you want, or come on live and ask them live. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful week. And look, just so let you know, I can stop this recording. See the big red button? That's all I've got to push. So I'm going to push the big red button and